Hey guys, what is going on? We are back on the Tier Maker website, and that of course can only mean one thing. We are ranking something here today, and we're going to be taking a look at all of the Season 2 reloaded SMGs in the most recent update, which did of course include the brand new SMG, the ARMGUERRA 43. Just while we do get into talking about our tier list here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. I do very much appreciate it, and it really does help me out. Of course, we are still looking for 6,000 subscribers, and if you could help me achieve that goal, that would be absolutely massive. So, starting us off here, we do have a little bit of a tier explanation. If you've seen any of these before, you can skip to the ranking list at the bottom of the video. So the dumpster is the bottom tier. Basically, these are really bad weapons in this game. Typically, if you find yourself here, these are weapons that you should not be using. Above that is the not bad tier, and of course these are weapons that are a little bit better than the dumpster tier, but I really do think these are usually situational weapons that do have pretty significant flaws but do excel in certain areas. Above that, we do have pretty good. These are basically middle of the road weapons in this game, weapons that are fine, you can do very well with, but I wouldn't say they are standout. Above that, you do have the almost meta tier, almost pushing it to be the tip top of the meta, and then of course we do have the red tier at the top, which is of course the meta. These are the most powerful guns in the game in my opinion. Starting us off here, one of my favorite weapons in the game, of course this is the M1928. You do get a very fast TTK with this thing, and also you can extend this thing out to have a 100 round drum mag, which I think with a fast firing SMG is a lot of fun. This thing also doesn't have any recoil, and it is actually very effective at killing people. I don't think it's like a top tier meta weapon, but it's probably just below that, and that of course does mean we're going to put this thing in the almost meta tier. The TTK is about 180-ish, 175-ish milliseconds, give or take a few milliseconds there. This thing is still very effective at killing people. It's ridiculously easy to control. The fire rate's decent, and a 100 round drum mag, I'm going to put this in the almost meta tier. Next, we do have the MP40 here, which is technically no longer able to get like a definite two-shot kill, which we did see previously with those magazine attachments and of course those other things that we could mess around with. Technically, you can still get a two-shot kill with this thing though. It does rely on the incendiary rounds, which doesn't always work. It's not a guaranteed two-shot kill, but in the occasions where it does still get an incendiary damage two-shot kill, which involves the 9 burn damage over those 3 seconds, technically you still can get the job done. It's just a little bit worse than it used to be, but I still think this is one of the better guns in the game at the moment. I don't again think that it is the top tier of the meta, but it's still a very reliable killing tool. It's an absolute classic weapon from Call of Duty previously, and I'm going to again put this in the almost meta tier because I feel like it is pushing it. It's a little bit of a toss-up for me, which is better out of the M1928 or the MP40. You could probably make an argument for either side of this tier, so I think I'm gonna put this at the top of the almost meta tier. Like, it's pushing it, it's just a little inconsistent in terms of that 2 or 3 shot kill. The next gun that we do have on our list here is the Owen Gun. Now this is a very interesting gun, and as an Australian, for me, an Australian made weapon should have a perfect place in my heart, but I really don't like this thing. This is one of those weapons that does have the magazine on the top, and if you have played with any of these weapons previously, you will know that that makes the right hand side of your screen pretty much unusable. You can make it a little bit better with like the boxy style magazine rather than a big long stick thing that sort of sticks up and takes up half your screen, but again, it does still take a pretty significant area of your screen, which is not ideal, especially if an enemy does move from your right hand side. It makes it very tough for you to hit a shot on them when they do come from the right hand side of your screen. But again, you can potentially get a 2-shot kill with this thing. I believe there was a rumor where it was bugged a little while ago where no matter what you did, you still technically couldn't get a 2-shot kill. I'm not 100% sure if that's changed, but the TTK with this thing when it is a 2-shot kill, I believe is about 120 milliseconds ish off the top of my head. It could be lower than that, could be higher than that, but I mean, this thing does really shoot very slowly here, and it's not going to be for everyone, but apparently you could maybe get a 2-shot kill with this if the bug has been fixed. I'm going to put this in the not bad tier because I really don't like using this thing. I mean, even if it was the most powerful gun in the game, not being able to see or shoot people from my right hand side really does affect how I do play the game, and it's just not a weapon for me. Next, we do have the PPSH here, which is one of the faster firing guns in the game. It is a little bit harder to control than some of the other weapons that we have seen on this list. Like, if you compared this side by side with the recoil pattern of the M1928, you would be absolutely terrified of using this thing because the M1928 is just an absolute laser beam. But the PPSH, an absolute classic gun from Call of Duty history, again, really decent in this game. The TTK does hit that about 170, 180 millisecond-ish milestone. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head. I think you even might be able to push this to 140 milliseconds, but again, that becomes very difficult to control at that point. Again, up close, this is probably one of the better guns in the game. I'm going to put this in the almost meta tier, probably the bottom of the almost meta tier, just because it is quite easy to kill people. It's quite an effective killing tool. It's just a little bit more difficult to kill people with some of the other weapons on this list. The next gun that we do have on our list here is the Sten. Now, I don't really have too much to say about the Sten. I've tried this a little bit, and it's just not a gun that is for me. And again, when you are tack sprinting around with this thing, it does take a massive portion of the right hand side of your screen. And again, it is another one of those weapons that does make it a little bit more difficult than it needs to be to shoot people from the right hand side of your screen, especially when you are, as I mentioned, tack sprinting. I'm going to put this at the dumpster. I don't think this really does have too many selling points that make it like a absolutely standout weapon. I'm not going to talk about this too much. I don't really like the Sten. I'm going to put this in the dumpster here. The next gun that we do have here is the Type 100, and my thoughts on this are pretty well known if you've stuck around the channel for a little while. I think this is one of the best guns in the game. With the right build and the right class setup, as we have featured in videos previously, I'm sure one will be linked on the screen at the moment. Basically, I think you can get a TTK with this thing of about 140 milliseconds with a 3-shot kill. Now, this thing is absolutely lightning fast. It's really easy to control the recoil. It's not as hard as you think, has a rapid fire, and it just kills people very, very quickly here. Doesn't have the best damage range on it, but it is still pretty serviceable for an SMG. So I'm going to put this at the top tier. I believe the Type 100 is one of the best guns in the game, one of the best SMGs for sure. I'm going to put this at the top of the meta tier at the moment. The next one that we do have here is another DLC weapon here, and this is the Welgun. This is the first DLC weapon that we did get in the SMG category, and again, I think this is one of the best guns in the game as well. Technically, you can actually still get a 2-shot kill with this thing. It's just a little bit more complicated than the usual stuff you do see. Technically, the way this thing works is you get the shrouded barrel, which does give you that increased size of the crit zone, including the upper torso. You also include the larger magazine. I think it's the 48 round mag, the bigger one, for the headshot damage of, I believe it's about 49, I think 49, 48, I can't remember off the top of my head. But again, then you add the incendiary rounds on top of that, and the way this works is, again, we did mention this previously, 9 burn damage over 3 seconds, but the second that bullet does hit, that first initial tick of burn damage does play out immediately, meaning your bullet does 52 damage to an upper torso shot. You just land another one and you get a 2-shot kill. It does sound more complicated than it is, but I mean, shoot people in the upper torso or the head and you get a 2-shot kill with this thing, which is super, super satisfying. So we're going to put this at the top of the meta tier. Again, 2-shot kills in this game are ridiculously easy to get. And then to round this off, we do have the newest weapon in the game, which is of course the Season 2 Reloaded update, the ARMGUERRA 43. Now, what do I think about this thing? There's a couple of different ways you can run this, which is actually very, very exciting here. A little bit of variety is always good. You can take this thing at a 1333 rounds per minute fire rate up close. It absolutely deletes people. I think the TTK is like 120, 130 milliseconds, I believe. I can't remember on the number off the top of my head, but this thing absolutely deletes people up close. It's ridiculously fast firing. It is a super fun weapon to use, but the magazine is a little short and the recoil is kind of janky, but I love the iron sights in this thing, so I really do feel quite strongly about that build. And then there is another build that we did feature the other day. Again, the link will hopefully be on the screen, as you can see in the top right hand corner, I believe. There is more of like an assault rifle build, which does fire a little bit more slowly, does kill people at about 200 milliseconds, which is a pretty good milestone to hit. Does have actually great range values, and it plays a little bit more like an assault rifle, which is an SMG hybrid. Always a good thing in these games. I don't think it's one of the better guns in the game though. I don't think it's like a top tier meta weapon, unfortunately, because it kills slightly slowly in either build. But I'm going to put this at the top of the almost meta tier here, because I do believe this thing is pushing it. I do believe if it was a little bit harder hitting, or it did fire a little bit more accurately or something like that, I believe we would be pushing this in the meta tier. But at the moment, I think this is one of the better guns in the game, but staying out of the meta tier here. So that was our list here, guys. All of the SMGs in Vanguard Season 2 Reloaded ranked, including the ARMGUERRA, which is the newest weapon added to the game. I do think this is a fantastic addition here, because it does actually create a couple of different playstyles and some stuff we haven't seen before in the SMG category at the moment. I think it's not really part of the meta tier though, but there are some fantastic weapons in this game at the moment. I do think the weapon balance is not too bad of a spot, apart from maybe the Whitley. But again, if you agree or disagree with my list, make sure you do let me know. As well as that, hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on as well. I do massively appreciate it, and it really does help me out. And of course, hopefully that does mean I see you in the next video. Bye!